Welcome back. All right, so I'm starting this review before the last game's finished because it's been 12 hours of me watching hockey. I'm tapped out. In fact, I figured out it's been about 31 and a half hours of hockey the last 3 days. My eyes are starting to glass over. Like, actually, legitimately, like, not making that up. So, I'm going to review this, and by the time I get up to that sixth game, it should be done. And then we can discuss. It's lopsided. It's not like there's going to be some massive comeback or anything. And there's so many whistles in the third. Holy Lord! All right, St. Louis and Vegas. So it's Binnington versus Hill. There's an early chance for Saad that's kicked aside. Shots are 4-0 for the Blues at 2.5 minutes. Vegas presses at 5.5 minutes. McNabb has a shot that's saved. The Blues press at 7 minutes, and eventually they score. At 8:25, it's Shen burying one glove side. Holloway and Kyrou with the assists. Vegas presses to respond. The Blues press with 9.5 minutes left. They're kept to the outside. Vegas presses with 7.5 minutes left. They go to the power play as a result, and they score on it. At 14:09, it's Hurdle bearing a rebound and close. Dorofeev and Theodore with the assists. Vegas looks for the lead. Eichel has a net drive chance. That's held with 2:44 left. The Blues get a power play. That's killed off. But before the period's done, they score to get the lead back. At 19:43, Walker buries a rebound from the side of the net. Broberg with the assist on that. It's 2-1 St. Louis after one. Second period, early press by the Blues. Vegas then presses. Hannafin's denied. There's a post for Broberg as the Blues get some pressure. More pressure by them, and at 6:31, the Blues get their 2-goal lead. Neighbors, he had a lot of time, too. He had time to just walk in and wire it. In fact, he had time to pick his spot, and then the announcers on TV said the same. Neighbors from Thomas and Parayko to make it 3-1. The Blues look for another, but at 7:25 on a turnover, Howden buries one from the slot. Theodore and McNabb with the assists. So the Vegas Golden Knights make it a one-goal game again at 3-2. Vegas presses for the tie. We get a power play for Vegas. Dorofeev gets denied during that. It's killed off. 2 shots on net for the Vegas Golden Knights. Saad has a wrister that's blocked as the Blues press with 57.4 seconds left. The Blues get a power play. And at 19:28, they score on it. Fowler with a point shot pass to screen. He scores from Kyrou and Buchnevich. Again, Cam Fowler's been a revelation for St. Louis. It's 4-2 for the Blues after 2. Third period. Early press by Vegas. In fact, the shots are 2-0 for the Vegas Golden Knights at 2.5 minutes. Neighbors has a net drive that saved. Toropchenko fires one wide on a 2-on-1 rush. The shots are 4-3 for the Blues at 6.5 minutes. Vegas then presses at 7.5 minutes. They get more pressure with 9 minutes left. We know how third periods are with the Vegas Golden Knights. The Blues, though, are doing a pretty good job of blocking the path to the net. Then the goalie pull happens with 3:23 left. I don't know what happens when Vegas is 6-on-5. But I assume it's always going to be a goal. And what's weird is I don't assume that when it's 5-on-4, when they have a power play. But they do score 6-on-5. Eichel scores from Theodore and Pietrangelo at 16:50. It's a one-timer short side. They pull the goalie again with 2 minutes left. And at 19:30, Dorofeev ties it from Theodore and Eichel. We're going to overtime. The Blues controlled early. Vegas takes over, sets up. There's a near miss for Eichel. Thomas has a one-timer that's saved. That's the only shot of the overtime, actually. And then we go to a shootout. Braden Shen with the winner there. So St. Louis wins in a shootout 5-4. They go to 23-21-4 with the win. With the loss, Vegas 29-14-4. Shots on net, 16-13 St. Louis in the first, 13-10 Vegas in the second, 9-6 Vegas in the third. St. Louis had the only shot of the overtime. Final shots 32-28 for the Vegas Golden Knights. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 2. The hits 22-16 Vegas. Binnington saves 28 out of 32. Hill saves 24 out of 28. All right, next up, Tampa Bay and Toronto. So Johansson versus Wall. Early jump for Tampa. Shots are 2-0 for the Leafs, though, at 3.5 minutes. So Tampa doesn't get to Wall early. And then at 4:06, Matthews wires one on a rush. He scores from Nyes and Ekman-Larsson. The Leafs look for another. Robertson can't bury one in close. Strong puck pressure by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Shots are 6-2 in favor of Toronto at the half. Domi has a rush chance that's held. The Leafs press with 8 minutes left. The fans call one. The referee does not. Bolts press with 4 minutes left. Mittens denied and close. Johansson holds there. It stays 1-0 Toronto after 1. Second period. Early Bolts chances are saved, and the shots are 2-1 in favor of Tampa 3 minutes in. There's a stick save on Crozier as the Bolts press. Nylander has a rush chance. That's held. The shots are 6-3 for Tampa at 7 minutes. Tampa Bay presses at 9.5 minutes. Asimond has a wrister that's held. There's some pushing. And then on a breakaway, William Nylander makes it 2-0. Riley and Lorentz with the assists at 13:44. The Leafs press for another. The shots are 9-8 for Tampa with 5 minutes left. And at 16:07, it's deflected in by Paul at the net. Radish and Point with the assists. So there was a screen in front and a tip. Not much chance for Woll there. It's now 2-1. Teams trade turnovers, and then at 19:37, so in the last minute of the period, Nyes buries one and close. Marner and Matthews with the assists. It's 3-1 for Toronto after 2. Third period, early power play for Tampa. That's killed off. Really solid kill by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Holmberg has a rush chance that's defended. The shots are only one apiece at 5 minutes. Matthews tries a Michigan. He tried it. It was saved. Apparently goalies can save that too. So for all those, Michigan shouldn't be a goal. Well, goalies can save it. That's an option. The Leafs press at 7 minutes, but at 8:07 off a face-off win, Radish fires one past a screen, Hedman with the assist, and so that makes it a 3-2 game. Holmberg has a rush chance that's saved. We have a power play for Toronto, and they score on it. Nyes buries one from the doorstep again. Marner and McMahon with the assists at 10:09. We then get a power play for Tampa, and they score on theirs as well. At 12:05, Paul tips another one in. Hagel and Hedman with the assists. Tampa Bay then presses to tie it. Domi has a rush chance. That's held. The goalie pull happens with 2:25 left, and Marner hits the empty net at 18:55 to give Toronto the insurance goal. They win this one 5-3. They go to 30-16-2 on the season. The Tampa Bay Lightning 25-15-7 on the year. Shots on net, 11-7 Toronto in the first, 12-8 Tampa in the second, 12-9 Tampa in the third. They do outshoot Toronto 30-28. Power plays, Tampa Bay 1 for 2. Toronto 1 for 1, so they scored on the only one they had. The hits 19-12 for Tampa. Johansson 23 saves on 27 shots. Woll saves 27 out of 30. Entertaining game though, and Toronto comes out with a big win. All right, last one on this board is Columbus and the Islanders. Merzlikins versus Sorokin, and if you're looking at this magnet over here, my daughter made that. So the magnets my daughter's made for me for Christmas. I'm trying to get them into videos because, hey, she made them for me. So shots are 2-1 for the Islanders in this game at 2.5 minutes. Teams trade turnovers. We get a power play for Columbus, and they score on it. Kent Johnson scores from Voronkov and Marchenko at 4:52. It's 1-0 for Columbus. Lots of one and done, though, in that first half. Not a lot of prolonged presses by either team. Shots are 6-3 Columbus with 9 minutes left. And then Patrick Roy reads the riot act to his team during the intermission. Or not during the intermission, during a break. And so during the commercial, he lets them know, and hopefully there weren't any little kids' ears nearby, because he didn't look happy, and I'm sure there were some colorful metaphors coming out there. Star Trek 4 for the win. So the Islanders press with 6 minutes left. Columbus gets some pressure with 3.5 minutes left. Holmstrom has a near miss from the slot. The Islanders press with 2 minutes left. They get more pressure to close it out, but it stays 1-0 Columbus after 1. Second period, Nelson has a wraparound that very nearly scores, and the review confirms it's no goal. But on the face-off that follows, at 43 seconds, Horvat buries one on a pass from behind the net. Barzal and Pelech with the assist, so it's a 1-1 tie. The Islanders press for the lead, but they take an offensive zone penalty. However, they scored during the penalty kill. At 2:57, it's Holmstrom on a 2-on-1 rush. He gets the pass from Pajot, and in the net it goes. 2-1 in favor of the Islanders. Islanders finish the kill, and then they get a power play of their own. They score on that as well. At 5:47, Horvat on a cross-ice pass. He puts it in. Barzal and Dobson with the assist, so Horvat with a couple of goals. It's now 3-1 for the New York Islanders. We get a power play for Columbus. That's killed off. Shots are 6 apiece with 7.5 minutes left. Columbus goes back to the power play. That's killed off as well. Barzal has a turnover chance that's held. The Islanders press to close it out, same as they did the first period. The difference being now they're up 3-1 after 2. Third period, early Fantilli shot is caught and held. The Islanders press at a minute and a half. Dobson hurts his leg and looked very painful. He twisted it under himself, so that didn't look great. He did exit there. Hopefully he's all right. The Islanders draw a power play. Horvat has a one-timer that's saved. That power play's killed off. That was Horvat's attempt at the hat-trick goal, of course. Shots are 5-0 Islanders at 6 minutes. The Islanders press at 8.5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Things are pushy on a hold by Sorokin. Columbus presses, but they're not getting a path to the net. Kent Johnson then prevents an empty net goal. Things are pushy on a hold by Sorokin. With 2:48 left, a timeout is called by Columbus. Whatever they discuss doesn't work. Your final score in this one's 3-1 for the Islanders. They go to 19, 20, and 7 with the win. Columbus drops to 22, 18, and 7. And with today's results, they are now back below the playoff line. Boston jumps past them. Shots on net, 7-6 Columbus in the first, 12-9 Islanders in the second, 10-7 Columbus in the third. Final shots are 26-25 for the Blue Jackets. Power plays, Columbus 1 for 4, the Islanders 1 for 2. The hits, 40-27 for the Islanders. Merzlikin saves 22 out of 25. Sorokin saves 25 out of 26. Let's go ahead and change boards. All right, keeping going with Carolina and Chicago. So it's Anderson versus Mrazek. Good early back and forth in this one. Shots are 2-0 Carolina at 3.5 minutes. The Canes draw a power play. That leads to a shorthanded rush by Mikheyev. Power play's killed off. 2 shots on net. Dickinson has a net drive chance that's saved. And then at 9:46, Kurashev scores from Donato and Crevier. Chicago has a 1-0 lead. Canes press to respond. Bedard has a rush chance that's saved. We have a power play for Chicago. Bertuzzi can't bury one in close. That's killed off. And then at 16:55, Bertuzzi banks one in off Freddie Anderson to make it 2-0. Jones and Nazar with the assists. The Canes look to respond, but it's 2-0 for Chicago after 1. Second period, good early forechecking by the Hawks. We get a power play for Chicago, which leads to a shorthanded goal for Carolina. At 1:25, Jarvis goes backhand on a fast break. Aho and Slavin with the assists, and then, most importantly, the Canes finish the kill. Shots are 2-1 Chicago at 5 minutes. The Canes press at 5.5 minutes. At 7:26, Kotkaniemi tips a cross-ice pass into the net. Robinson and Slavin with the assist there, so Slavin with a couple of helpers in that second period. Canes then look for the lead. We get a power play for Carolina. That's killed off. The Canes press with 5 minutes left. A net feed to Nazar gets blocked, and then in 1941 on a cross-crease pass, Donato buries one. Hall and Kurashev with the assist. Chicago has a 3-2 lead after 2. Third period. Canes press at 2 minutes. The shots are 2-0 for the Canes at 3 minutes. There's a kick save on a Svechnikov chance. Nazar with a near miss on a net drive. 8.5 minutes in. The shots are 9-2 for Carolina. Canes press at the half, and eventually you knew they were gonna get one. Well, at 13:37, Jordan Staal finds a loose puck under Mrazek. He thought he had it. He did not. Martinuk and Orlov with the assists. Bertuzzi's then denied. Freddie Anderson holds there. Staal has a rush chance that's saved. We go to overtime. The Canes controlled early, and they would score on their first shot at 59 seconds. Aho on a cross-ice pass buries a one-timer. Natchez and Slavin with the assists. Carolina wins in overtime 4-3. They go to 28, 16, and 3 with the overtime loss. Chicago 15, 28, and 4. But with that single point, they now move ahead of San Jose. Shots on net, 15-12 Carolina in the first, 13-6 Carolina in the second, 19-7 Carolina in the third, and Carolina had the only shot of the overtime. Final shots are 48-25 for the Canes. Power plays, both teams 0 for 2. The hits, 23-19 Chicago. Freddie Anderson saves 22 out of 25 in his return to action. Mrazek, 44 saves on 48 shots. Mrazek did everything he could. Just a shame he did not quite have that one held, and Carolina exploited that. All right, next up, Winnipeg and Utah. So it's Hellebuck versus Ingram. Pressed by Utah, they're kept to the outside. There weren't any shots on net by either team 4 minutes in. Utah presses at 7 minutes. Jets having some turnover issues at this point. Winnipeg then presses with 9 minutes left. Michelli has a rush chance that's saved. Utah presses with 4.5 minutes left. The Jets get some pressure with 3 minutes left. Scheifele's denied from a sharp angle. Gustafson's then denied on a breakaway. It is scoreless after the first. Second period. Keller takes a puck to the face and exits. He came back. What a warrior. Clayton Keller, yeah, he looks pretty badass with he took it and came right back. We get an early power play for Utah. That's killed off. There's a press by Utah after it's done, but not a lot of shots. The shots are only one apiece, 4.5 minutes in. Teams trade turnovers. Perfetti has a wrister that's caught and held. The Jets press at 6 minutes. Iafallo has a net feed that gets blocked. Velarde gets shaken up in a collision. It was just a collision. It was one of those fluke things that happens. We get a power play for Utah. Kesselring has a one-timer that's blocked. That power play's killed off. Shots are 5-4 for Utah with 5 minutes left, and with 4 minutes left, Utah scores. So at 16 minutes, it's Mata from Schmaltz and Keller. Originally, this goal was given to Keller. The scoring changed to Mata. So it's fired past a screen that was provided by Keller in front. Utah looks for another. The Jets press in the final minute, but then they turn the puck over, and Logan Cooley on a breakaway scores from Barrett Hayden at 1942. It's 2-0 Utah after 2. Third period, Utah presses at a minute and a half. The Jets press at 3.5 minutes. Utah blocks. And then at 4:53 on a rush from the slot, Barrett Hayden buries one. Doan and Stedlin with the assists. It's 3-0 Utah. D. Simone then has a wrister that's held. Utah's looking for more. The shots are 3-1 in their favor at 7 minutes. And at 8:04, Utah scores again. So these big Utah goal magnets here, I only have 3 of them. So I have to go to the happy face ones when they get more than 3 goals, which is why I don't usually use the Utah ones. I just figured, well, this game's been so low scoring. We're not going to get more than 3 Utah goals. Yeah, sure. Michelli scores from Doan and Hayton, and then Winnipeg answers. So at 8:22, it's Niederreiter putting one through Ingram on a rush. Ehlers and Scheifele with the assists. At 11:48, Winnipeg scores again. DeMello with a one-timer pass to screen. Ehlers and Sandberg with the assists. Suddenly it's 4-2. So Winnipeg generates some opportunities. They pull the goalie, and Keller hits the empty net at 17:55. You celebrate that with punching, which leads to 2 minutes of 4-on-4. But either way, your final score is 5-2 for Utah. They go to 20-19-7 with the win. With the loss, Winnipeg 31-14-3. Shots on net, 11-10 Winnipeg in the first, 10-6 Utah in the second, 8 apiece in the third. Final shots, 28-25 for Utah. Winnipeg did not have a power play. Utah went 0-2. The hits, 26-20 for Utah. Hellebuck saves 23-27. Ingram saves 23-25. And now Winnipeg didn't score very well with Hellebuck in the net. They must have got messed up there. I don't know. It's one of those things to keep an eye on. Winnipeg's suddenly having some struggles here. All right, last game of the night is Pittsburgh and LA. This game was a little bit later because not only did it start at 7:30, but they had a pregame ceremony about the firefighters, which is fine, but it did mean that this one started pretty darn late. Nedeljkovic versus Riddick. The Penguins press at 2 minutes. There's more pressure by them at 3.5 minutes. Not that they're getting to the net. The shots are only 1 apiece at 5.5 minutes. The teams trade rushes. The Penguins press draws a power play. And at 10:09, Hayes. It's a short side goal on a net drive. It's listed as an own goal at this point, but Hayes was the one that threw it at the net, so he gets credited for the goal. Penguins look for another. The shots are 7-2 for Pittsburgh with 8 minutes left, and at 14:09, Crosby scores from Grzelcyk and Beauvillier. Crosby had himself a great game. Penguins press for another. It's 2-0 LA after 1. Second period, early press by the Kings, but the shots are 3-1 Pittsburgh at 4.5 minutes. The Kings press, but the Penguins block. Things get pushy on a hold by Riddick. The Kings just aren't getting to the net at this point in the game. Malkin has a rush chance that's saved, and then at 8:25, Malkin, who had a great shift leading up to this, he scores on a cross-ice pass. Tomasino and Pettersson with the assists. It's 3-0 in favor of Pittsburgh. Kings press to respond. The shots are 7-5 for the Penguins with 6.5 minutes left. The Kings press with 6 minutes left. We get a power play for the Kings. That becomes 1 minute and 4 seconds of 5-on-3. That's just too much. On the 5-on-3, Kempe roofs a cross-ice pass. Kopitar and Spence with the assists at 16:02. That makes it 3-1. Penguins, though, they kill off the 5-on-4. And then at 19 minutes, Cody Glass scores. He's been hot lately. Hayes and Pickering with the assists. It is a 4-1 lead for Pittsburgh after 2. Third period, early jump for the Kings. Achari has a 2-on-1 chance that's held. Shots are 3 apiece at 5 minutes. At 6:57, Beauvillier scores from Letang and Crosby to make it 5-1. He buries a rebound and close to do that. Byfield has a shot that's held as the Kings press. We get a power play for LA. That's killed off. And that's where I decided to record the first board before the game was done. Shots were 11-9 for Pittsburgh with 4 minutes left. Gavrikov has a shot that's held as the Kings press. Nedeljkovic passes the puck to Jeannot while he wasn't in the net, but he recovers. Everything ends up being fine. Pittsburgh wins a big one, 5-1 in LA. They go to 20-21-8 with the win. The Kings 25-14-5. It's because I made them number 1 on the power rankings. This is the same thing that happened last year. Shots on net, 12-6 Pittsburgh in the first, 9 apiece in the second, 11 apiece in the third. Final shots 32-26 in favor of the Penguins. Power plays, Pittsburgh scored on the only one they had. LA was 1 for 3. The hits 18-7 for the Kings. Nedeljkovic, another good game, 25 saves on 26 shots. Riddick, 27 saves on 32 shots. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching. So about 31 and a half, maybe 32 hours of watching hockey over the last 3 days. It's a lot. It can kind of end up being a lot. So at the very least, tomorrow night is just a normal 5.5 hours of watching hockey because it goes from 4 o'clock till about 9:30 my time. So that's more normal. Anyways, thanks again for all your support. I'll talk to you soon enough.